The furious scream of Cesar Milan shattered the tense silence in the courtroom. "This is a blatant distortion." In that moment, the true face of the dog whisperer was revealed. Cesar Milan, the man famous worldwide for his work as a dog trainer, was now witnessing the empire he had worked so hard to build crumble before his eyes. Could the image of a genuinely compassionate animal lover be hiding a darker truth about flawed training methods? Do the allegations of animal abuse against Cesar Milan truly deserve condemnation? And is the sentence he faces truly fair, given the charges brought against him? Join us as we uncover the truth behind the dog whisperer in this video. 1. Fall of a dog training icon, Cesar Milan. A name that has long been synonymous with the dog whisperer is now facing a legal battle that few could have ever imagined. The renowned dog trainer, famous for his show Dog Whisperer, is currently embroiled in a serious lawsuit after his pit bull was accused of attacking a gymnast and killing the dog of singer and actress Queen Latifah. The lawsuit pertains to an incident that took place in 2017 when Lydia Mattis, a gymnast, visited her mother at Milan's training facility. During this visit, she unknowingly encountered Milan's dog, Junior, who was known to be one of his most beloved pets. Mattis claims that Junior attacked her, biting her several times on the leg, which led to her being hospitalized with severe injuries. The story became even more complicated when Matisse alleged that Milan was aware of Junior's aggressive nature, but still allowed the dog to roam free without supervision. She claimed that the dog had caused multiple incidents prior to this, including biting people and attacking other dogs, including one of Queen Latifah's dogs. According to legal documents, at one point, Queen Latifah had brought her 2 dogs to the Cesar Millan Dog Psychology Center in Santa Clarita, California. It was there that Junior allegedly pounced on and killed one of the actress's dogs. Matisse further accused Millan of attempting to cover up the incident. She claimed that when Junior killed Queen Latifah's dog, Millan instructed his staff to tell the actress that her dog had been struck by a car rather than revealing the truth. This only added to the suspicions surrounding Milan's management of the dogs at his center, especially considering the previous incidents involving Junior that were not properly handled. In the lawsuit, Matisse stated that not only did she suffer physical injuries, but she also faced significant emotional distress since the attack. She had to give up competing in sports due to the pain, and she is now seeking unspecified damages from Milan. For his part, Milan has countered that Matisse was fully aware of Junior's dangerous behavior and accepted the risk when she approached the dog. He also stated that Matisse acted recklessly but did not clarify the details of the incident. Matisse's actions have led her to pursue the case in court, and the trial has turned into a chaotic mess that few could have predicted. Everything truly erupted when the courtroom grew tense, and Cesar Milan, the man once revered as a master at controlling dogs, suddenly lost his composure. That moment when the verdict was read not only marked the end of a legal battle, it also signified the end of an era. After months of tension and endless legal struggles, the man who built an empire training dogs could no longer control himself upon hearing the final judgment from the judge. The verdict was not only legally harsh, but also the collapse of the image he had carefully crafted. Milan's face twisted in anger as he slammed his hand down on the table in front of his legal team and began shouting profanities at the prosecutors. Security staff quickly rushed to restrain him as he attempted to charge toward the bench. The calm, confident demeanor that had become his trademark completely shattered to the point where no one could recognize the Cesar Milan they once knew. "This is an outrageous distortion." Milan gritted his teeth, his voice initially just a low, furious whisper, but quickly escalating into shouts as he pounded his hand on the table next to his defense team. The force of the slam caused the microphone on the table to rattle. "You don't understand anything. You're deliberately twisting the truth to ruin my life." The foul language began pouring from Milan's mouth, aimed directly at the prosecutors sitting across from him. "You're all a bunch of hypocrites. You don't care about these dogs. You just want to ruin my reputation to build your own." He continued to scream, using vulgar and offensive language accusing the prosecution of having personal motives and being completely ignorant of his work. I've dedicated my life to helping dogs that no one else could. Who do you think you are judging me? Millan's fury exploded to the point that he tried to charge toward the prosecution's bench. I'll show you what real dog training looks like, he yelled, his eyes bloodshot. Instantly, 2 tall security guards reacted, rushing to grab Milan's arms and prevent him from advancing any further. His struggles and continuous profanities filled the courtroom, creating a chaotic and astonishing scene. The calm, confident demeanor and the gentle smile that had once been synonymous with Cesar Milan vanished completely. In their place stood an angry, out-of-control man entirely unfamiliar from the dog whisperer image the public had once admired. This outburst not only shocked everyone in the courtroom, but also raised serious questions about the emotional stability and self-control of a man being tried for animal cruelty. For nearly 2 decades, Cesar Milan has become a prominent figure in dog training worldwide. His popular television show has aired in over 80 countries. His books have sold millions of copies, and his training methods have been widely adopted by dog owners around the globe. His philosophy, which focuses on maintaining calm, assertive energy and establishing dominance as a leader of the pack, has helped him become a household name, contributing to an estimated net worth of over $25 million. However, as veterinary behavior science has advanced and more research has debunked dominance-based training methods, Millan's techniques have faced strong criticism from animal welfare experts, veterinary organizations, and even former supporters. The biggest shock to his career did not come from a single incident, but from a growing accumulation of concerns. One of the most pivotal moments that shook the public and the courts was a haunting video captured from the show Cesar 911. This video shows a dog while being trained by Cesar Milan, unexpectedly attacking a pig during a training session promoted as a control exercise. The goal of the session was to help the dog manage aggression towards other animals, especially pigs. However, instead of demonstrating control and the usual whispering techniques, the video shows the dog lunging at the pig, primarily biting its ear, causing the animal pain and distress. Immediately, this video went viral on social media platforms, sparking a wave of outrage and fierce criticism from animal lovers, animal rights organizations, and even viewers who had once been Milan's fans. They expressed horror and questioned the humanity and actual effectiveness of the training methods he employed. This outrage led to a more extensive investigation into his training center and the methods he used. After the controversial video was released, numerous testimonies from former clients and people who had worked at Milan's center came to light. These testimonies painted a concerning picture of incidents during training, where many animals were alleged to have suffered physical and mental injuries under his supervision. Former clients shared their experiences of witnessing their dogs become fearful, excessively anxious, or even more aggressive after participating in training sessions with Milan. They described techniques he used, including pinning dogs to the ground using harsh leashes and creating tense situations that seemed to only exacerbate the animal's suffering. Former staff members at the training center also provided detailed information about the work environment there, stating that animal welfare was often overlooked in favor of creating dramatic scenes for the television show. They testified that dogs were forced to participate in training scenarios that were dangerous or inappropriate for their personalities and anxiety levels. These testimonies further raised doubts about whether Cesar Milan truly cared about the well-being of the animals he claimed to help. In addition, some former clients began speaking out, sharing alarming stories. One family reported that their French bulldog developed severe anxiety and became aggressive due to fear after Milan applied his controversial methods, forcing the dog to face its fear with no escape. Another family recounted how their German Shepherd was injured at Milan's center after being made to run on a treadmill while wearing a choke collar as part of a rehabilitation process. Notably, a former trainer testified that Milan frequently provoked aggressive reactions in dogs to create compelling footage, which was then edited to make his methods appear more effective. In light of the undeniable evidence, the judge made a clear statement before delivering the verdict. He emphasized that the evidence, particularly the video and testimonies from animal behavior experts, clearly showed that Millan's methods caused unnecessary fear and stress, and in many cases, resulted in physical harm to the animals he claimed to be helping. This statement dashed any hopes of a lenient verdict for Cesar Milan. Ultimately, the sentence handed down was harsh, reflecting public outrage and the seriousness with which the court regarded the animal abuse. Millan was permanently banned from working with animals. His training center was to be shut down immediately, and he was fined a large sum to benefit animal protection organizations. Additionally, he was ordered to undergo courses on modern animal behavior based on scientifically proven principles. The illustrious career of the dog whisperer came to a bitter end, leaving behind a profound lesson about responsibility and ethics in dealing with vulnerable creatures. But perhaps the most crushing blow was the public declaration that he must admit many of his methods are now considered outdated and potentially harmful by the scientific community, which utterly devastated Milan. His explosive reaction in court shocked many, including his staunchest supporters. The fall of the dog whisperer was not just a personal tragedy, but also a wake-up call about society's changing attitudes toward animal welfare and the once accepted training methods that are now being seriously reconsidered. Is this the end of Cesar Milan's legacy, or just a new, more difficult chapter in the life of the man who was once a global dog training icon? Even when security staff had to drag Cesar Milan out of the courtroom, he kept shouting, claiming he was a victim of injustice, that his critics didn't understand his methods, and that the animals he worked with were saved, not harmed. This scene was captured in full and immediately went viral on social media, becoming a defining image of his downfall. Did Cesar Milan truly love the dogs he trained? If he did making them stop showing fear actually address the root problem, or did it simply suppress their anxiety deeper? The training methods he employed will continue to spark controversy. Did they really provide lasting results, as he once claimed? Controversy surrounding Cesar Milan's dog. Training methods. Cesar Millan's dog training method, highlighted in his show, The Dog Whisperer, has sparked considerable debate in the animal training community and among pet owners, with many arguing that his approach may not be suitable. His training primarily relies on the principles of control and dominance, where dog owners are encouraged to assert their authority and leadership with their dogs. Techniques such as leash corrections, growling sounds, and even physical contact are used to maintain behavioral order. One noticeable feature of Millan's method is his use of body language, combined with commands like the tist sound to direct the dog. He believes that just like wild dogs, pets need to understand who the leader is and follow established rules. According to him, showing dominance and control over the dog helps create a stable relationship and minimizes unwanted behaviors. Additionally, Milan emphasizes how dogs communicate with each other. Small mistakes in timing or correction. Methods can worsen a dog's behavior, causing them stress because they are unable to communicate with their owner, leading to discomfort or anxiety. Cesar also applies physical intimidation tactics to force dogs to fear and cease unwanted actions. When a dog stops an undesirable behavior such as growling or biting, this does not mean the behavior has been corrected, but rather that the dog has learned not to express its fear. However, this approach does not address the root cause of the behavior and can lead to other negative behaviors, such as increased fear, causing the dog to potentially attack when unable to express its anxiety. In some cases, Cesar's methods can be effective. One individual shared that he used some of Milan's techniques and achieved better results than with other famous trainers. For example, he successfully trained a pit bull using Cesar's methods. Milan particularly favors the pit bull breed and often selects them as pets. Pit bulls are unique dogs with characteristics that make them unresponsive to standard training methods. These dogs are highly attuned to their owners feeling safer when they obey, as they are bred to follow commands to avoid danger. A pit bull needs an owner who is firm and calm, Otherwise, they become anxious and tense. However, Millan's methods are only truly effective with pit bulls and are not always suitable for all dog breeds. For some dogs, his approach may cause more problems than it solves. Nonetheless, Cesar's training methods have not been without strong criticism from many animal behavior specialists and other dog trainers. Public concerns have led to lawsuits against him. The first issue that makes Milan's approach controversial is the use of physical punishment, or excessive control, which creates stress and anxiety for dogs, particularly those with sensitive personalities or a history of abuse. Some experts argue that rather than building trust and a positive relationship with dogs, Milan's methods may harm their psychological and emotional well-being, leading to worsening behavior. Moreover, Milan's behavior of using kicks to control dogs is unacceptable in training. Kicking a dog is not only an act of violence, but also lacks a solid scientific foundation. In emergency situations, intervention may be necessary to stop an attack. However, the kicks Milan uses in his regular training are entirely wrong and ineffective. Proper training should involve using exchange games and building trust with the dog, rather than using threats or physical punishment. The second serious issue is that Milan's methods fail to address the underlying causes of a dog's behavior, especially with aggressive dogs. Instead of recognizing that behaviors like growling are signs of fear, he punishes dogs for expressing anxiety. This not only increases the dog's stress, but also teaches them to stop showing fear. As a result, one day the dog may attack without giving any warning signals, as it has learned to remain silent rather than express anxiety. This can lead to unfortunate incidents, such as the case of the retriever dog Holly on his show, which bit Milan after feeling threatened. The third issue is the lack of flexibility in applying training techniques to different breeds. Each breed of dog has distinct personality traits and needs, and not every dog will respond well to Milan's methods. For example, certain breeds like pit bulls may require patience and a gentler training approach, while others may respond positively to Milan's techniques. However, applying dominant methods to all breeds may not be effective, and may sometimes harm the relationship between the owner and the dog. Finally, while some supporters of Milan's methods believe that in certain situations his techniques can yield positive results, especially for difficult-to-train dogs or those with extreme behaviors, they argue that establishing clear authority and enforcing strict rules can help dogs feel safer and more stable. However, the lack of empathy and deep understanding of animal behavior in some situations has turned his methods into a controversial topic in the dog training community. 3. The tragic journey. The public downfall of Cesar Milan was not only the end of his career, but also the collapse of an image that he had spent years building. Born into poverty in Culiacan, Mexico, Milan illegally crossed the border into the United States at the age of 21 with just $100 in his pocket, and a dream of becoming the most famous dog trainer in the world. His journey from a homeless man washing cars at a beauty salon in Los Angeles to an international star became a symbol of the rags to riches story. Dogs had become his hope, his ideal, but now it was those very dogs that played a role in the unraveling of his career. Beneath the confident and powerful persona he portrayed on television was a man grappling with serious personal issues. In 2010, his wife of 16 years filed for divorce, a blow both emotionally and financially. That same year, his father, who had been both a role model and a mentor in his dog training career, passed away from cancer. These consecutive losses plunged him into severe depression, leading him to contemplate ending his life by overdosing on drugs. A producer who had worked closely with him revealed, "The public never saw that dark side of Cesar. All of himself had been absorbed into the image of the dog whisperer, the person who could solve every problem. When his personal life fell apart, he clung to that professional identity because losing it was unbearable." Soon after, a brutal betrayal in his work left him stunned. After years of building the dog whisperer brand, Cesar discovered that his business partners were plotting to strip him of control over his empire, including his name and the title that had made him famous. That was when I realized how Hollywood works and how people can be legally dishonest, Cesar shared. They said I was a 50-50 co-owner, but it wasn't true. On paper, I was the one in charge, but legally they weren't, and spiritually it was clear they weren't either. The betrayal was even more painful, given the decades-long relationship. It was a 10-year relationship. You got to know their family, and everything became very personal. I believed in honesty, loyalty, and I thought that was a given, he explained. As a result, not only did Cesar lose control over important sources of income, but he also faced the threat of losing control over his own name. They didn't just want this. They wanted that too, but it wasn't theirs, he said, still harboring a sense of dissatisfaction and doubt. Cesar had always prided himself on integrity and keeping his promises in work. In the world of dog training, clear communication and honesty were the most important aspects. However, discovering that human relationships could be twisted by deceit led him to lose faith in people and in his ability to judge others. The problems began when I tried to play the grown-up game, like getting married, becoming an entrepreneur, being a father, he reflected. When meeting so many people, I realized not everyone follows the principles of honesty and loyalty. It was a struggle. Surviving on the streets was much easier because it was just me. The continuous losses created the perfect storm, pushing Cesar to the brink of despair. In a shocking confession, he admitted that he had wanted to end his life. The psychological impacts from the deep betrayal were more than others could understand. For someone who had built a career on understanding and respecting nature, facing human deceit was almost unacceptable. While animals acted on clear instincts, humans could pretend to be something else while harboring malicious intentions. Amid this crisis, Cesar's physical health also deteriorated drastically. His weight dropped to just 102 pounds. He began abusing stimulants, taking up to 12 Vicodin pills a day and combining Red Bull with vodka. His addiction spiraled out of control. The man, once a model of balance, now found himself completely lost. It was an undeniable paradox. Cesar, who had taught millions how to achieve calmness and decisiveness, could not find peace in his own life. Perhaps the most painful was the breakdown in his relationship with his 3 children, at a time when family should have been his support. The tensions reached a point where Cesar and his children did not speak to each other for 3 years. His youngest daughter later described feeling as though her father had become a different person, like a monster. She began to fear. For years, the family relationship remained broken, missing important milestones in each other's lives. This pain was compounded by Cesar's psychological crisis. By 2012, the emotional and physical pressure had exceeded his breaking point. Cesar's health had significantly deteriorated, and close family members realized that without intervention, the consequences could be fatal. In September 2012, he entered a rehabilitation center at Cirque Lodge. Despite being a luxurious facility in Utah with a $150,000 monthly fee, it was the first necessary step in his recovery, saving his life. However, the healing process was not just about sobriety. It required him to completely change his perspective on relationships, work, and self-esteem. The man who had dedicated his career to teaching others how to maintain balance now had to apply those principles to his own life in a difficult situation. Due to his inflated ego, Cesar Milan could not admit that he might be wrong. The lawsuit that led to his downfall was not the first time his methods had been under legal scrutiny, but it was certainly the most serious investigation, leading to criminal charges. As the evidence grew clearer and more victims, both human and canine, came forward, his legal team became increasingly worried. Their efforts to protect him failed, as videos surfaced showing that dogs under his care were clearly showing signs of suffering. After the trial, Cesar withdrew to an undisclosed location, refusing all interviews through his spokesperson. Rumors circulated that he had fled to Mexico to escape the media. While surveillance was unconfirmed, his sons, trained to continue his legacy, issued a statement requesting privacy for their family during this difficult time. 4. Aftermath of the shocking trial. Immediately after the verdict was announced, and Cesar Milan was handcuffed and led out of the courtroom. A powerful wave of shock spread through the media and the animal lover community. The sudden downfall of a figure once hailed as the savior for troubled dogs sparked numerous mixed reactions. A segment of the public welcomed the decision as a victory for animal rights, while many others expressed regret and skepticism about the fairness of the trial. However, no one could deny that Cesar Milan's career and reputation had suffered a severe blow. One of the pressing issues following the closure of Milan's Dog Psychology Center by court order was the future of the dogs under his care and training. Local animal welfare organizations quickly stepped in, collaborating with authorities to ensure that all the animals would undergo health checks, behavioral assessments, and be relocated to rescue centers or suitable adoptive families. This process was swiftly carried out to minimize disruption and ensure the well-being of the dogs, particularly those that had undergone controversial training methods. Many dogs were sent to rehabilitation specialists who used gentle, non-coercive training methods to help them recover and overcome the trauma they may have endured. Videos documenting their progress under these new methods quickly spread, creating a stark contrast with Milan's training techniques. As time went on, more speculation arose about Cesar Milan's future. Some industry experts predicted that he would attempt a comeback, possibly with a new brand, and an adjusted approach that incorporated positive reinforcement while still maintaining his captivating presentation style. However, others believed that his resistance to change, evident in his vehement reaction to the verdict, made the possibility of evolving highly unlikely. As expected, television networks and advertising partners immediately severed ties with Cesar Milan. The show Caesar 911 on Nat Geo Wild, which had helped establish his name, was immediately canceled. Other television projects Milan had been involved in met the same fate. Brands and companies that had partnered with him in advertising and sponsorship campaigns quickly withdrew to avoid being associated with the scandal. This collapse not only caused significant financial losses for Milan, but also reflected the sensitivity of businesses to ethical issues and animal welfare. The media empire Cesar Millan had built over the years also rapidly crumbled. Revenue from books and products associated with the Dog Whisperer brand plummeted. Workshops and events he participated in were canceled one by one. Milan's image, once a symbol of confidence and control, was now tarnished by accusations of animal abuse, causing the public to lose trust in the advice and products he offered. Organizations and individuals who had criticized Milan over the years saw this as a significant turning point. The director of a well-known animal welfare nonprofit shared, "This case has done more to raise public awareness about humane training methods than decades of our efforts. It's unfortunate that it took such a major collapse to bring attention to this issue, but the positive outcome is that the dogs will benefit from this heightened awareness." Even television networks recognized the shift in the landscape. Producers began developing new dog training programs, focusing on positive reinforcement methods, with some programs specifically emphasizing the contrast with Milan's now discredited methods. For dog owners around the world, Cesar Milan's downfall sparked important conversations about how we perceive and treat our four-legged friends. Social media platforms were flooded with posts from people reassessing their training methods, seeking alternatives, and sharing resources about positive training. The dramatic collapse of Cesar Millan marks the end of an era in dog training. His methods, particularly the physical tactics, have drawn heavy criticism. How do you feel about Milan's outburst in court? Has this case changed your perspective on dog training? Share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like the video, turn on notifications, and subscribe to the channel for more engaging content about our world.